Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at a camera from the 80s, and this is the T series cameras as they're known, from Canon. The first of the T series cameras, and these followed on from the A series cameras, was this one, which is the T50, the baby of the range. And this was launched in 1983 and was produced through until 1989, I do believe. This one's got a 50mm 1.4 on it. It's quite a good lens to use with it. Alright, let's give you an overview of the camera. Very basic, so it won't be a very long video. Not the best looking of cameras. The 80s was a bit of a strange era in design, not just in cameras but in most things, to be honest. On the front there's not an awful lot going on. There's lug straps for your carry cable, and the lens mount. And these lenses, this is a new FD, so you actually turn the whole lens to remove it. There's a little button down here that you push. On the earlier breech mount lenses, they have a chrome ring at the back that you turn rather than the whole lens. There we can see into the throat. A little bit grubby. You can see all this writing on the top. Programmed automation, automatic film transport. So to mount the lens, red dot to red dot, and just turn it clockwise. And with this camera you only have the program mode. There is a manual mode for flash, and the way that you set that is by taking the aperture ring, this is the aperture here, away from the A, and you use that with flash. If the aperture ring is anywhere apart from A, the shutter will be set to a 60th. That's the flash sync speed on this camera. So in normal use, you leave it in the A. It's a manual focus camera, so this is your focus up at this end. On the top plate we have a self-resetting film counter, a film plane index mark. This is the shutter release button, push it down halfway for the metering. This is the limited function, so L is for lock, the BC is battery check, the program mode and the self timer, and you literally just select what you want. Hot shoe, dedicated flash gun, the 244T I think was the one that went with this. Viewfinder, eye cut. Although it's got power advance, it doesn't have power rewind. You still have to rewind it the old-fashioned way with the pull-out crank. You set the ISO or the ASA with this part around the dial. You push in and you can then adjust the ASA and the ISO. You can see on this it's actually labelled ISO stroke ASA. Back's very plain. Bottom's very plain, battery door. The camera will focus. It takes two AA batteries. Push in to rewind the film when it's finished. It'll beep at you when it's finished, the film. Tripod bush, middle of the lens, very useful. And I think this is for a cable release, because there is no cable release on it compared to the old screw-in type on the top. So yeah, a very basic camera. Not an awful lot to it at all. And pull up to open the back. So we see a vertical shutter. This is different from the A series, which was a cloth horizontal shutter. The T series is a metal vertical shutter. Yeah, the sync speed on this one is only a 60th. You'd expect it to be 125, but that speed came in later versions of the T series. There was a whole selection of T cameras, and we will be looking at all of them in turn. This was the first one. It has the quick load system. So I have some batteries for it. When you're looking at these, be very careful with the battery doors. They are particularly a weak area on them. They're not particularly well made. It's a polycarbonate camera body, quite lightweight, but but the doors on these are a bit of an issue. They do break quite easily. So some double A's. Canon say don't use rechargeables in it, so that goes in plus facing out. Readily available batteries, and they're cheap, which is quite nice. That goes in there. There's quite a lot of pressure on this door. It's the reason why they tend to break. But it is a real weak spot on them, these battery doors. So that's our batteries loaded, and we've got a lens on. So we can go to self-check. It's beeping, so it shows that the batteries are fine. In the viewfinder, all you'll see is a P. If it's a solid green, then you're good to go. If it's a rapidly flashing P, that's outside of the metering range. If it's a slow flashing P, it means that you might have some camera shake issues. But yeah, very simple to use. Nothing really, no custom functions, no anything. Drive speed, if you hold your finger down on the shutter button, it'll go about 1.5 frames a second, so it's not exactly a sports shooter. It's just a really easy, simple camera to use. Let's pop a film in it. So this isn't going to be a particularly long video. So I'll have a roll of the usual Kentmere. Just drop that in, pass that over to the orange speck, wind that down, and then you just have to turn it on first would help. So let's do what I always do, which is just take up the slack. So you can see that stirring around, so there we are, we're loaded up, we've got one more to go. Here we are. So that's it loaded with film. Very, very simple camera to use. No exposure compensation, but you can get around that by adjusting the ISO to give you as many stops as you like, really. But yeah, there's no exposure compensation dial. Very simple to use. Does have a self-timer function, so if you put it into self-timer function and push the button, irritating beep. That was the 80s. Oop. And there we go. That's the selfie mode. So yeah, a very basic camera. Great introduction to film photography, I suppose. You're not going to learn much about the basics, but if you just want to get out and take pictures, yeah, recommended. It's not too heavy, they're not particularly expensive. The lenses cost more than the camera bodies do, but that's the way it should be. Don't invest money in camera bodies, invest your money in quality glass, because that's really what's going to make the difference. So there you have it, folks, the first of the Canon T series, 83 to 89. Pretty ugly looking thing, I think. I much prefer the chrome, and that they were only in black, there was no different sort of finishes to them, they were all just this polycarb. That was the trend of the 80s. So yep, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, stay tuned. There's the rest of the T series coming. We've got the T60, the T70, the T80 and the T90 to come in the following weeks. But yep, comments, questions, queries down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.